So, with that being said, we're going to get into our next guest. So, this man is no stranger to Xertified, no stranger to the hip-hop community in Calgary. This man wears multiple titles, from MC to community arts facilitator, to husband, to father, to a teacher, to an event organizer. We're around like-minded people, you know what I mean? So, with that being said, put your hands together for Dwight Farahat!
Yo. I'm doing well. Grab a seat here.
Yes. So, again, no generic questions around here. You know what I mean? And I want you to take us back to the first freestyle that you ever did in front of a group of people.
Oh man, the first freestyle I ever did in front of a group of people, I think I was actually, I was at a party, and you know, I remember I was sitting on top of a dryer, and we were in a basement, and Daft Punk was playing, and I had been trying to rap in my head a couple times before that, and then I remember I'm just like I'm gonna just go for it. And I just sitting there and I tried rapping, and like that song was like really fast too, and I just started going, and then everybody just stopped what they were doing and they looked at me, and then they were like, oh, and everybody just tripped. So, because nobody in our crew rapped at that time, so yeah, it was a big deal for me to get that reaction.
Word. So how old were you at the time?
I think I must have been 17. Yeah.
So like around the high school age.
Yeah.
The Daft Punk.
Yeah.
Was it just like a straight Daft Punk?
It was Around the World. The song's called
Around the World. Around the World. Yeah, that's fuego. Yes.
Yeah. I think I managed to get 8 bars out, and the whole party went nuts. And it was dope.
Word. That's awesome. So I want to go into a bit of your story. So I'm gonna take us all the way back to you growing up, where you grew up. So where did you grow up in?
So like I grew up in Bowness from grade 1 to grade 3, and then I moved to Forest Lawn from grade 4 to now.
So you would represent the Northeast pretty
definitely hard, man.
The Northeast side.
Yeah,
it's the Northeast side. Shout out to 17 and Cash Cooley. So with that being said, so you grew up in the Northeast side, and also you're somebody who have mixed background.
Yeah, definitely.
So somebody who is of, you would say, Blackfoot.
Yeah, my background is I'm half Blackfoot. I'm a quarter Palestinian and a quarter Welsh. And yeah, really, I feel like when I say that, people are like, damn, I'm like, that's the future of Canada. And if you think about like the history of it, and then they say, oh, you look Latino though. But if you look at the history of Latin America, that is the history of Latin America. The many mixtures, just like European, Arabic, all these different places came there and mixed with Native people, and then they look like me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, that's a very good point. Yeah. Word. So how was that's a good point. Now, what do you think about the people that say that shout out to Emcee Good Medicine. Emcee Good Medicine brings up this point. He talked to me about this when I asked him, because he's somebody who's also of a mixed background, and he says that he doesn't like to refer to himself as a mixed person because he feels like he's a whole person. He's like, I'm a whole entire human being, so I'm not mixed and compartmentalized. So what do you think about that idea?
I agree with that. Like, there's something about your labels and what you're given that sometimes can people are like, yo, you're a black guy, so like you should be good at basketball and you should know the latest slang, and that's a lot of pressure on somebody. You're like, oh, I should know every hip hop artist and every slang word, and then being a mixed person is like, should I know all these things? Should I be able to speak Arabic because I'm Palestinian? Should I know the entire Quran? And then because I'm Welsh, should I know everything, whatever they are, Catholic, Christian? Like, should I know who King Philip is? And then because I'm Blackfoot, it's like, I should know every medicine in the world and have this wisdom. And so for me, it's like, yeah, I am a whole person, and my experience it is very tied to the history of this land, because I grew up here, right? But I was raised by my mom, and she's from England. She's half Palestinian and half Welsh. And my dad wasn't in the picture very much. But that significant trauma that my dad had from residential schools and stuff like that, it really impacted our lives as well. And so, and also with my background, I remember telling somebody my background one time, and he just looked at me and he was like, whoa, that's struggle. And I didn't know what he was a history major. I didn't know what he meant, but I thought about it, and all three of my backgrounds have had their land and have been displaced by
colonization.
Yes. The Welsh people are just speaking their language and getting their language back, and my dad had to move from what's now known as Israel. He had to leave his home. My grandpa had to leave his home, and then my dad residential schools, and so I was like, shit. When I figured that out, I'm like, damn. I'm lucky to be here. Like, it's crazy.
Right. That's a lot that you like carry. You know what I mean? Somebody else was telling me like that we also we carry intergenerational trauma. So that trauma that we deal with, but throughout our generations, we have to deal with that, as generations go on. You know what do you think about that?
Yeah, there's something called, I think it's Epigenetics or something like that, and it talks about where.
Yeah, that's it, Epigenetics. Yeah, we were talking about that at Cyber Club. I don't know if you were there or something.
Yeah, and basically it's like your neural pathways are quicker to go to stress. And so and you can grow your brain in any way you want to already. So, but as an adult, so you can be like, okay, I'm at here, and I need to develop these neural pathways to make me go from where I am now to happiness quicker versus from where I am now to pain or struggle or panic quicker. And when you experience trauma as a child, your brain actually develops differently. And so a lot of people who experience trauma, like residential schools, war, whatever, abuse as a child, they have less gray matter in the frontal lobe, and that's what controls your focus, a bunch of different things like that. It's really neat. Yeah.
Wow, that's deep. And something you were speaking about earlier that I super relate to is like feeling like you have to know everything about each culture that you're a part of. You know what I mean? We had a super long conversation yesterday, and a part of it was being proud of my culture, you know what I mean? Because that was something that I feel like I struggled so much with growing up. Was just I was never Colombian enough for the Colombians, but I was never white enough for the white kids. You know what I mean? So it's just it was put in a weird situation. You know what I mean? So, but something we were speaking about was you can own that culture. That's a part of your history. That's a part of what your stories is being Colombian. That's why I came out and I represent the jersey and everything, you know what I mean? Yeah. Shout out to our Latinos. Shout outs. Hey. But yeah, I feel like that's something that I can start actually taking pride into. And not saying that again, my Spanish, I need to work on my Spanish. My Spanish is, you know what I'm saying, it needs to, my mom would tell you my Spanish needs to work, but we've been making steps. You know, we've been making steps. So it's it's helping reclaim that culture and also being a part of it. You know what I mean? As well as also mixing that in with hip hop culture. You know what I mean? And being proud of both of those. You know what I mean? And being we can represent both of this. You know what I mean?
Definitely. I totally agree with that. People will put labels on you, and the media puts labels on us. For example, we seen all this stuff you're native, whatever. I remember it was the 3Ds with native people, either we're drumming or dancing, and that's when you see us on the news. And what that does is it conditions our minds as Canadians to have self-hate for ourselves as Indigenous people, and if you're non-Indigenous to just be racist. It's training. Canada's really good at this, and so for me, for the longest time I had super low self-esteem, and I dealt with a lot of self-hate and stuff like that, and I ended up moving into a group home, and something really changed in me when I was 15 in that group home, because it was a native group home, and there was all these guys there, and they were walking in, and they had braids, and they were laughing and talking, and they had money and cars, and it seemed like they were in healthy relationships, and And I remember just standing there, like looking at them and being like, yo, I could be like these guys. Because up until that moment, like I was given a definition, like you're native, you can't learn, you can't, like this is your expectation. And I went with that. Like I was like, by the time I'm 15, I'm gonna die. I would always say that. By the time I'm gonna, yeah. And so it's like, fuck school. Look, why would I learn to read if I'm gonna die at 15? And this is what I'm gonna be, because I was told that by adults around me who would tell us native kids those things in school. And I did almost die. I almost died 2 days before my 15th birthday in a high-speed chase.
Wow.
Just up in yeah. And it was like after that, I moved into the group home and I got a new look at life. And I seen these guys and I was like, oh, what they're saying an Indian is and what the news is saying an Indian is, that's not real, man. An Indian is somebody who makes me feel safe. An Indian who is somebody who cares about me and loves for me. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing with other races. Like we see in the media is telling us to fear blacks. The media is telling us that Latinos are stealing our jobs. Is that based on truth?
Right. I totally agree. That's why I want to make sure that what we do here is we're showing a different representation of all these different racial groups, you know what I mean? And that's why I believe so much in hip-hop. Because like, man, like motherfuckers are like, like people are really like intelligent, you know what I mean? And we're doing a lot of positive things in the community. I want to highlight that, you know what I mean? Like I really want to make sure that we're giving a positive representation of blacks, of Latinos, of natives, of, you know what I mean, like Asians, everybody who like can come and participate in this culture. I want to make sure that we really put out a positive message, you know what I mean, and counteract the BS that we're seeing on mainstream media, you know what I mean. I want to make sure that we're really like showing a different side of it, you know what I mean, like a different side of it.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Like if we see each other for humans first, and then like find out about the culture after,
and all the labels after.
Yeah. Like your culture and who you are and your skin color, like it's super important. But like if we can stop making up stories for people, like you're Latino, so you gotta like soccer, blah, blah, blah. Like just making up a story just based on your race is bullshit. Instead of checking you for you, right?
Word. Okay. So you I know you kind of mentioned that you went into a group home and like when you were around 15, right?
Yeah.
And then around high school you left school, I believe.
Yeah, I dropped out. I think in grade 11.
So what were and you said you bounced around like a lot of jobs. You did a lot of jobs.
Yeah, I did a lot of jobs.
What were like some of the jobs that you worked with straight out of high school?
My main job that I did was housekeeping, actually, because I was still busted up from my car accident. Like I was skinny, I wasn't really strong, so the housekeeping was something physical that I could do, and I didn't need much qualifications. So I basically was like a janitor / housekeeper at many different places.
Bro,
yeah. And I liked the job, like, to be honest with you. I just like it just didn't pay nowhere near enough, and I wasn't able to stand up for myself because I was so financially trapped. So if I was asked to do something that was like maybe illegal or just like should have called the cops or this and that, I wasn't able to be like no, because I had no financial backup. So I was stuck.
You gotta do what you gotta do at some point, right?
Yeah, word.
Yeah, exactly. Word. I feel you. That's the trip. Yes. So, what were some of the other jobs that you worked with as like? You said you did obviously the cleaning.
Yeah, I
any other jobs that you did? As what was like
carpet
worst and what was the best? What was the worst and what was the best?
The worst job I ever had was I can't say where it is, but I was a lot attendant.
Oh, for like car dealerships and stuff like that.
But no, this was for a community center that had no one who parked there. So I literally would go sit in this red little thing. It was about this big. I'd sit in there, and legit, it was like jail. I'm like, fuck my life. Like, so I taught myself to juggle. I read like books every day, but literally I think in the full summer, one person parked there. And so
that's a trip. Yeah. That's pretty brutal.
And the best jobs of my life, like I'm doing them right now. Like it changes every week, every month. It depends where I'm at. So right now I'm a I'm a youth worker. I work at Antex Community Arts. So basically, we run art programs for youth where we help create change in the community. So I run a Friday night hip hop program where youth come to learn dance from other youth. We also have an event planning team called Youth Voices. Aaron's on that.
Hey,
man, we're doing so much stuff. We have Youth Arts Action where we build giant sculptures. Some of our the last project we worked on was a talking mirror, and it just basically says nice things to you because we're talking with the youth about like, what do you say to yourself when you look in the mirror? And it's like all terrible things. So we're like, well, what should people hear when they look in the mirror? And then we asked community members, and we recorded their voices, the community members, of things that they should say in the community.
Oh, you were telling me about this.
Yeah. And so now you walk up and you see this mirror, and then you're like, what's this little red button? And you know how human is. You just press the button, and it's like, hey, you, I hope you have a good day. You're powerful, you're strong, and I believe in you.
That's dope.
Or like a 3-year-old, if life was a game, I would want you on my team. Could you be on my team? And it's like, it's just stuff like that, man.
Is it like a product, like a mirror that people are manufacturing and making? Or?
No, it's just one art project. It's a mirror in the Genesis Center.
Maybe that's, I don't know, maybe I get greedy. I just think like, man, that'd be a dope idea for like if you could like mass produce it and put it out there, you know what I mean?
That is a good idea, yeah. We have a traveling one.
Like an entrepreneur idea, you know what I mean? Like
that's cool, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna steal that, I promise.
No, steal it, man. Spread the positive vibes and make money off of it, man. Why not?
Word. What do you think about people who like make money off of I guess, let's say things in the community. So I know you do a lot of things that are not for profit. But what do you think about people that do things that are for profit in the community, let's say hip-hop community?
I don't think there's anything wrong with making money off hip-hop or making money off things that make the world better. I think that we look at money in a weird way where it's like, if I'm rich, I'm not humble. Or if I'm rich, I'm not close to God. But I feel that, and then we also have this weird thought of rich people, like that they're all mean and nasty. But to tell you the truth, like I've met a lot of rich people in my life. I've met like maybe I won't say a lot. I met like 3 millionaires in my life.
Wow.
And each one of those millionaires I met was like, yo, this is how to do it. So like, how many other people are coming around and sharing their knowledge and telling you how to follow in their footsteps so you can be rich? And I think that we need more people who are willing to share and make a difference in the community to be rich. Because if we're powerless, then we're powerless. And money equals power, man. So like the people with those hearts who care about the people, who care about the environment, we need to get rich and we need to get in positions of power.
Agreed.
Word.
Okay. So I want to take us. We kind of went a little bit off the track, but I want to get it back because I'm getting us into a linear story. But so you left high school, you bounced around a couple jobs, and then you went back to university.
Yeah, I sure did. Yeah.
So you went back to university. Why did you go back to university?
Well, I was in my field.